Why Crips and Bloods never tried forcing Michael Jackson to check in. Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson a Blood or a Crip or some shit? Like what? Did that nigga always keep that strap on? Oh, like hey, let me find out Michael Jackson was about that life. I'm sleepy as fuck. Me too, man. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm sleepy too.
The other colleagues and me, we talked, and he said, "Man, Michael Jackson want to do a video, and he want real gang members. And do you and some of your homies want to do it?" I said, "Yeah."
You definitively said that Michael Jackson.
Wait. That nigga said he wanted real gang members in his shit? Oh. That means that nigga was about it. He wanted the real deal. He wanted them in it. That means that nigga was about that shit. That's the only reason that nigga would say that shit. Because there's no fucking way that you would sanely want, like, real Crips. You'll probably have some people in there acting as it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the props and shit of it. But not really doing nothing too crazy. Nah, he wanted the real deals. That means that nigga was about it. He was ready. So if them niggas would have tried anything, they would have been probably switched cheesed.
It was the Crip.
I didn't know if he was being serious, but you seemed serious when you said it.
I've always been curious about on Better on the Other Side, your tribute to Michael Jackson. You mentioned that MJ called you up and
try to squash the beef with me and 50.
Yeah.
No one ever made Michael Jackson check in. Not the Crips, not the Bloods, because both.
Yeah.
No one ever made Michael Jackson check in. Not the Crips.
Oh, Michael Jackson was crippin'? Oh shit! Damn, they got my nigga Mike. Oh shit!
Crips, not the Bloods, because both sides saw his intent. Michael Jackson's ties to the Crips and Bloods weren't rooted in crime or gang allegiance. They were about peace.
You know, with a sign saying Crips and Bloods, you want to be in Michael's video. But Michael said, you know what, I'll get them, Bob. I'll get them.
By casting real gang members in Beat It and easing rival tensions, he earned great respect.
That was fucking insane to think about. At that particular time, those were actual gang members. They look goofy looking as hell. No offense to them, I don't want no problems. But at the same time, damn, I thought these was just like, you know, actors. Not for real.
The rumors of deeper affiliations persist. No one ever made him check in. Both sides saw his intent. This video explores how MJ built that respect, the key moments, who backed him, and why he was never challenged. Discover the underrated influence Michael Jackson had beyond music. Chapter 1. Los Angeles Gangs, a turf war. Between the late 1970s and early 2000s, Los Angeles became one of the most visible battlegrounds of gang-related violence in the United States. Two major street organizations dominated headlines and shaped the daily lives of countless residents, the Crips and the Bloods.
There's a war going on in South Central.
The Crips, initially formed in South Central Los Angeles in 1969 by Raymond Washington, and later expanded by figures such as Stanley Tookie Williams, spread rapidly across Southern California. In response to their growing dominance and violent reputation, the Bloods emerged in the early 1970s as a confederation of smaller street gangs, rooted primarily in areas like Compton, Watts, and Inglewood.
These Crips and Bloods have been warring for 30-odd years. One of the longest-running wars in the history of this.
By the 1980s, this rivalry had escalated into a citywide turf war.
Can you just imagine you waking up in the morning? You know, you trying to be your regular civilian, go through your regular civilian daily life, and then just you see blue, you see red, and you already know it's about to go down. Like, you know it's about to go down. Me personally, if I see that shit, I look left, I see a Blood. I look right, I see a Crip. And I see my car up front. I'm going back in the house and I'm calling in. Like I'm calling in. I'm not doing that shit. Like, first thing in the morning, you still wiping eye crusties out your eyes. It's about 7:30 in the morning. You about to get to work and shit. And that's the first thing you see. Nah. I'm calling in. They're going to have to understand. I don't feel like getting shot this early in the morning. I don't feel like going to the hospital this early. It's too early for this shit. I'm over here still yawning and these niggas already like ready to go.
Violent
No.
confrontations between the two groups became a grim routine, with drive-by shootings, retaliatory killings, and open-air drug markets turning many neighborhoods into high-risk zones, especially for young black men. Streets like Florence Avenue, Slauson Avenue, and Crenshaw Boulevard became known as both cultural landmarks and epicenters of gang conflict. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, facing rising homicide and assault rates, responded by forming specialized units such as CRASH, Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums. Though intended to suppress gang activity, these units were later criticized and eventually disbanded for using aggressive and, at times, unlawful tactics that worsened tensions between police and the community. By 1983, gang violence in Los Angeles had drawn national media attention. That same year, Michael Jackson, at just 24 years old, was ascending into global superstardom. His album Thriller, released in November 1982, had quickly dominated charts, radio waves, and television screens across America. Jackson, who spent his early years in Gary, Indiana, had long been aware of urban poverty and racial division. Now based in Los Angeles, he found himself surrounded by a very different city than the one portrayed on magazine covers. In early 1983, as Billie Jean and Beat It topped the charts, Jackson made a creative choice with unexpected cultural
was that?
impact. For the music video of Beat It, directed by Bob Giraldi, Jackson approved the inclusion of several real street gang members and youth from local communities, alongside professional dancers and Broadway-trained actors. The casting was handled in part by Giraldi and choreographer Michael Peters, who were both committed to creating an authentic visual.
I'm not gonna lie, I think this is kind of how it went. This is how I imagine it going. I imagine it going something like this. Like, okay, he went to go get some Bloods and shit like that from this side. And then he went to go get some Crips, you know what I'm saying? Got them to cooperate. And got them to do the dances and shit, you know, to cooperate. But I bet you this is how I imagine it going. While we in here, there's no beef. We all equal. We all good. This is supposed to be a positive thing. But as soon as y'all step out that door, I don't give a fuck what y'all do, as long as I'm not involved in it. Like, that's how I imagine it going. That's how I personally imagine it going. Like, I personally imagine it going just like that, because my nigga, hey, they gonna still have their problems regardless of the matter. Like, it's not gonna change at all. They still gonna have that shit. Like, so that's just me personally. That's how I imagine it. Just a small little off-topic thing.
Portrayal of street life. While Jackson never made a public statement directly linking the video to the Crips and Bloods rivalry, the decision to bring real gang-affiliated individuals into the video served as a rare moment of inclusion. The video's message centered on rejecting violence and choosing peace, a theme underscored by its story of rival gang leaders who ultimately put down their weapons and walk away. Though it did not solve LA's gang crisis, the video offered a widely broadcast symbol of unity and nonviolence at a time when many Americans remained unaware or indifferent to the struggles of inner-city neighborhoods. Beat It became one of the most iconic videos of the era, not only for its choreography and production, but for its message. By blending
Nigga, that's
entertainment
bad,
with
not-
real-life issues, Jackson helped bring visibility to a crisis that many preferred to ignore. It was a moment where pop culture briefly intersected with the realities of urban America, and where music, film, and street life found a shared narrative. Chapter 2. Beat It, a Studio Peace Summit. Following the unprecedented global success of Thriller, released in November 1982, Michael Jackson set his sights on delivering not just hit records, but cultural statements. Among the standout tracks was Beat It, a genre-blending anthem that fused rock and pop with a clear anti-violence message. For the music video, Jackson envisioned something different, something real. Rather than hiring only professional dancers or actors, he wanted to involve individuals who understood the subject
Dang, why
matter
did it just
firsthand.
the quality just become dookie out of nowhere? But like, why did the quality change? Like, what the hell is this? Come
To
on,
involve
gang.
individuals who understood the subject matter firsthand.
If I get them, would you film them? I said, absolutely. As long as there's enough cops there, I'll be fine.
Jackson brought on Bob Giraldi,
Bro said if
a
there's
commercial
enough
director
cops.
from Paterson, New Jersey, whose work was known for its urban edge. Giraldi's upbringing around East Coast street life informed his approach to the project, but it was Jackson's idea to include real gang-affiliated youth. many with ties to Los Angeles street life that gave the shoot an unprecedented authenticity.
So he gets them. And so it's the first day of shooting Beat It, and it's in a warehouse in downtown, as history shows. It's in a warehouse in downtown East LA, very tough.
Filming took place in March 1983 in Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, especially around East 5th Street, a location known for its grit and vulnerability. The goal was not only realism, but resonance. Jackson and his team coordinated informally with local contacts to recruit individuals from various neighborhoods, some with affiliations to LA street gangs. The production budget reportedly reached $150,000, a considerable sum for a music video at the time. CBS Records initially refused to cover the cost, prompting Jackson to personally fund it.
I think it had to come $150,000 out of pocket. Damn! And I know back then, $150,000, it was way different from now. Like, hold on, let me look that shit up. What do you say, like 1988? Let me see, 150,000, 1988 to now. That would equal up to $400,000 today, roughly. Man.
Despite the risks, the production moved forward.
Hey,
According
man.
to Bob Giraldi, tensions were palpable on set. Around 50 to 80 individuals with street ties were present, some watching, others participating. In interviews, Giraldi recalled a moment when hostility nearly broke out. Rather than escalating the situation or calling in security, Jackson reportedly asked for the music to be turned up and began dancing on set. The shift in energy was immediate, Giraldi said. The crowd, previously unsettled, became still. They stood.
You know how much aura you gotta have to do some shit like that? As they literally middle of the argument, probably about to, actually start some shit. This nigga turns the music up louder and the niggas start dancing as they rolling the cameras. And then everybody pauses. And like it was just all natural and everybody starts going with it. Like if people did that shit today, niggas would still be shooting. Like niggas would have been shooting, bro. It would have been done.
Like referees, he later described, neutral, watching, and quietly absorbing the moment. Whether mythologized or not, that turning point underscored Jackson's rare ability to command respect without force. The video's theme that walking away from violence was stronger than giving in carried extra weight in that setting. Jackson, deeply committed to community uplift, was not perceived as a celebrity intruding, but as someone using his platform for purpose. Some of the street-affiliated extras began to mingle with the
This
dancers,
picture's
not
still
as
fucking
choreographed
wild.
participants, but as witnesses and contributors to the atmosphere. The line between actor and reality blurred. The video storyline, a confrontation that turns into a symbolic dance-off, mirror the dynamic playing out behind the camera. For a few hours, traditional rivals stood side by side, part of a shared cultural moment. The final scene, a stylized knife fight that gives way to rhythmic movement, was infused with a tension and rawness that came from more than acting. It came from lived experience.
The fact that these are literal, like these are actual gangbangers from two different gangs, like actual gangs and shit, and not just actor, this shit blows my mind. Because I thought this was completely all, like, actors. I've said this a little bit ago, but man, this shit blows the fuck out of my mind to know that these niggas actually was on that shit. And he got them to sit in the room and cooperate, for the most part.
When Beat It premiered on MTV on March 31st, 1983, it was more than just a chart-topping video. It was a visual statement that shone a light on inner-city struggles while offering an alternative vision. Bob
And he
Giraldi
actually
later
got these
described
niggas
it
to
as the
dance
most
too.
dangerous and most beautiful shoot of his career. For Jackson, the video became a form of activism, showing that art could briefly override division. While it did not end gang violence in Los Angeles, it created dialogue, earned respect from those involved, and stood as one of the few cultural moments where music brought sworn enemies into the same room without bloodshed. The legacy of Beat It lies not just in it.
Let's be real. We know damn well the trick behind this shit. But at the same time, you gotta think about it. The little nails that he stands on to be able to do this shit, everybody that did that, you know how strong your legs gotta be to be able to do that shit and come back up with it without falling flat on your face? Like, how many times y'all think it took them to do this shit? To actually get it right and be able to get right back up. Because that requires a significant amount of leg strength or calf strength, whatever that little muscle is, to be able to do that shit to begin with. Because look how far ahead the back one is, for starters. Like this dude in the back. Like, hey. Even though it might have been debunked, that still is an impressive feat. Because you got to have a lot of muscle to be able to do that shit.
Success, but in its courage to depict conflict truthfully and to invite even the most unlikely people into the healing power of performance. Chapter 3. Respect, not recruitment.
He definitively said that Michael Jackson was a Crip.
I don't know if he was being serious, but you seemed serious when you said it.
Was Michael Jackson ever a member of the Crips or any street gang? The answer is no. There is no police report, FBI file, court record, credible biography, or personal interview that confirms or even seriously suggests gang affiliation. Jackson was not involved in gang life, nor did he ever claim such ties. What set him apart wasn't street credibility in the traditional sense, it was his unmatched ability to earn respect through cultural influence, quiet outreach, and humanitarian acts. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Jackson used his platform to reach young people in underserved, violence-affected neighborhoods. This included inviting youth, sometimes from gang-heavy areas, to attend his concerts, offering VIP access, backstage passes, transportation, and signed memorabilia. Many of these efforts were not widely publicized, but they were well documented through fan reports, community stories, and local press coverage. He believed in music not just as performance, but as a bridge to foster unity in communities divided by poverty, race, and violence. Over the years, Jackson's posture toward gang culture became the subject of folklore and comedy, particularly in hip-hop and social media circles. Comedians like DC Young Fly, Carlos Miller, and Chico Bean from the 85th South Show have joked about Jackson possibly being a Crip, referencing photos where he wore navy or royal blue outfits. These routines were always delivered with comedic intent, never as claims of fact. On platforms like YouTube and TikTok, fan-made compilations playfully explore this theme, often exaggerating Jackson's fashion choices for humor. Even veteran rapper DJ Quick once remarked half-jokingly that Michael Jackson had Crip energy, attributing it to his calm presence, stylish precision, and silent confidence.
Let's be real though. If Michael Jackson was a Crip, if he was actually in a gang, them niggas was not letting him hear that shit down. And then on top of that, can you imagine getting your ass beat while he whoa, like he just hit you with a mean ass uppercut? Like, nah, bro. Nah. Hell no, bro. It would be like I would literally quit that day. Like you would never see me walk the streets again. You would never hear me talking about no nothing if he beats me like that. Like, I'm literally done with that shit. I'm not touching nothing no more. I'm not throwing up no sets, no nothing.
These comments were
I'm gonna sit in the corner.
And humor, not as literal assertions. Jackson's cool demeanor, unmatched global influence, and non-confrontational presence made him feel untouchable, but never because of gang ties.
Look at Michael Jackson. He got all these gangbangers behind him, and they don't f with him.
A more grounded reference comes from the late Eazy-E of NWA, who recalled encountering Jackson backstage in Detroit around 1989. In interviews and published biographies, Eazy-E acknowledged that Jackson never had to check in, a term in gang culture that refers to announcing yourself to local sets for safe movement. Jackson's mere presence was respected. His aura, artistry, and integrity granted him a pass that transcended the rules others were bound by. The truth is...
Yeah, because wasn't it like the baby or some shit like that? It wasn't recent, but it was like some years back. It was like some dudes that was trying to check the baby about him not checking in and shit like that. Like, come on, gang. But to know that Michael Jackson didn't have to check in at all. Hey, man. He was moving a little different back then. They actually they respected him, but they don't respect anybody else now. I don't think there's very many people. I think the only person that in today's society that could do that shit would probably be like Taylor Swift, something like that, something on that type nature. But even at that, even if she wasn't able to, if they ever thought to do anything to Taylor Swift, I promise you, them Swifties are switching everybody down that thought that they could do something to Taylor Swift. If they even so much as sneeze in Taylor Swift's direction, and Taylor Swift tells the internet about that shit, whoever did it, they're going to be found. Their email address is going to be found. The house is going to be found. Family's going to be found. Social security card, bank statements, all that shit. Like their house phone number, like they're going to be done.
Clear. Michael Jackson was never affiliated with gangs. No official documentation, arrest history, or credible testimony ever links him to the Crips, Bloods, or any other street organization. Yet in a city like Los Angeles, where alliances were often defined by color and code, Jackson entered and exited even the most sensitive environments without resistance. Not because he flashed signs or claimed dissent, but because his music, character, and message were enough. His style may have inspired playful speculation, but the respect he earned was real, and it was built not on affiliation, but on impact. Chapter 4. When Industry Meets Street Tactics. Michael Jackson wasn't only respected in urban communities, he also claimed significant influence in the global music business. In August 1985, Jackson purchased ATV Music Publishing for approximately
$47 million. Damn! You know how much I know them niggas was mad to know that they got bought out by they probably was talking shit and got bought out, like how he did Eminem. He did that same shit to Eminem. He was talking shit about Michael Jackson, went and bought his whole damn thing, his whole catalog or some shit like that, and he was just sitting over there looking stupid afterwards.
$47 to $47.5 million, acquiring rights to about 4,000 songs, including 251 Beatles tracks like Hey Jude, Yesterday, and Let It Be. This deal was orchestrated by his lawyer, John Branca, and ultimately made him one of the top music rights holders in the world. A decade later, in 1995, Jackson sold a 50% stake in ATV to Sony, creating the joint venture Sony ATV Music Publishing, a move widely praised as savvy and transformational. Fast forward to May 2007, Sony ATV, still 50% owned by Jackson, acquired Famous Music LLC from Viacom for roughly $370 million.
Damn, this nigga's just constantly moving, ain't he?
1,000 songs featuring artists like Eminem, Beck, Shakira, and Bjork.
Hey, man. Eminem thought that he could fuck with Michael Jackson back then. He thought that he really could fuck with Michael Jackson and talk shit. He showed that nigga. He showed that nigga there's levels to this shit. And literally bought that nigga out. Just like that. He couldn't do shit about it. Bought all that nigga songs from back then. Like, there's levels to this shit. And he thought that he was better than them because he was just coming up and shit like that. He thought that he could ride the hype and be able to talk shit.
Including some of Eminem's biggest hits.
Stevie Wonder said that he was piling on and how really rude it was for someone who made his money from the community, as Eminem has, to now diss the community in this.
I've never met Mr. Eminem, and to have him, I've always admired him, and to have him do something like that.
Here's the twist. In 2004, Eminem's music video for Just Lose It mocked Jackson, referencing his Pepsi accident and facial changes. Jackson chose not to sue. Instead, in 2007, his stake in Sony ATV meant he indirectly owned part of Eminem's catalog. As Snopes confirms, Jackson gained partial ownership through the Sony ATV deal, not a full acquisition.
I'm sorry, I keep on pausing, but damn. To know, you was just imagine you was talking shit just a minute ago, and now the nigga that you was talking shit about owns a piece of yours. the shit that you was talking about, and part of your biggest hits and shit now. Now you just sitting over there looking stupid. I bet you'll never diss nobody ever again. Like, you was just over there talking shit, dissing people, got the references down and everything, and now look at you. Bought your shit, and you can't do nothing about it. Go sit and watch. Looking stupid.
Industry insiders have since described it as one of the most strategic counter-moves in music history, transforming offense into influence. As one source put it, everyone said Eminem couldn't cross Michael, then MJ literally bought a piece of him. Though this exact quote appears in journalistic retellings, it reflects a broader sentiment on Reddit and in outlets like Boss Hunting. This chapter of Jackson's career caught attention not just in wardrobes but on the streets. Gangs recognized that MJ could maneuver corporate power as adeptly as he did cultural influence, and that kind of respect transcends intimidation. Chapter 5. Gangs, culture, and recognition.
It's more than intimidation there. It's fear.
Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. revered Michael Jackson's cultural impact. Tupac sampled MJ's vocals and frequently spoke of Thriller and Bad as benchmarks in his music. Biggie, too, regularly name-checked Jackson in his lyrics, framing him as a cultural staple in hip-hop circles. But this admiration extended beyond music. Street crews took note of Jackson's business savvy, too. When he emerged victorious in corporate rings, it amplified his cultural power. If MJ could outmaneuver industry elites on spreadsheets rather than with violence, that spoke volumes in neighborhoods where escape was rarely peaceful. Crips and Bloods around Los Angeles noticed too. Jackson busted dozens of gang-affiliated youth for a speed-it shoot, and later distributed food, concert tickets, and signed gear. He didn't rally crowds with threats. He attracted them through generosity and symbol. In zones marked by turf lines and distrust, his actions were seen as gestures of respect and uplift. It became clear. Influence, not intimidation, earned authenticity. Chapter 6. He never checked in, and here's why. In gang culture, anyone entering rival territory usually must check in, wear colors, acknowledge power, or gain approval. But Michael Jackson never did. Why not? 1. Jackson never claimed gang allegiance or flaunted colors. His goal was always unity, never division. He was all about intentional peace. 2. He traveled with a disciplined entourage and kept public entry points secure, circumstances he managed, minimizing risk. 3. Previous actions like bussing in youth or staging community benefiting events sent proof. 4. His fame and message transcended fanfare. He was viewed seriously amid entertainment and humanity. The result, Crips and Bloods paused when he arrived.
Imagine you got that much power to where these niggas hate each other and they divide each other so much to where damn near every time is on site whenever they see each other. But whenever you come around, they stop. Like, while you're around, they stop. But whenever you leave, they might start back again, or they start back again. But the second you come around, they just stop. You know how much power that is? That is too much power to have for one person. But he was able to have that shit and balance it, not even with fear, just with influence, which a lot of people today could learn about. But that's dope as hell, I can't lie.
No initiation needed, no turf battle begun. Instead, they observed. They maintained order. When the cameras rolled, rival sets were side by side, captured, collaborating on film. The shoot represented a powerful first moment, official production, real rivals, one shared cultural moment. Trust, not violence, led the way. Chapter 7. Networks that echo beyond gangs. Michael Jackson's influence wasn't split, it was holistic. On Wall Street, he was a mogul. On Crenshaw Boulevard, he was a unifier. In business, his 50% stake in Sony ATV reshaped global music publishing. This strategic acquisition granted him partial ownership of thousands of influential songs, including rights to the Beatles' catalog. The deal, arranged by attorney John Branca in 1995, merged Jackson's ATV holdings with Sony's catalog, creating a powerhouse that reflected Jackson's vision beyond music charts. He operated not just as an artist, but as a business architect. In 2007, Sony ATV, still half-owned by Jackson at the time, acquired Famous Music LLC from Viacom for approximately $370 million. This brought in rights to songs by Eminem, Shakira, and Beck, expanding Jackson's reach into modern music portfolios. In February 1997, During a history tour stop in Hawaii, Jackson arranged for undeserved youth and military families to attend his show. That same spirit was evident in Japan, where he visited Camp Zama to meet with children of American service members and engaged warmly with fans at Tokyo Disneyland. On August 29, 1993, he celebrated his 35th birthday by inviting 100 inner-city children to Neverland Ranch for a day of fun, food, and gifts. For street communities, these acts reflected the same values behind Beat It. The novelty wasn't that a superstar showed up, it was that Jackson gave back quietly and consistently. To neighborhoods scarred by disappointment, he embodied sincerity without spectacle. He connected executive suites and inner-city blocks with equal care. He showed that creative influence could produce tangible change. Resonance with both worlds required more than...
Damn, you know how much presence you gotta have to have motherfuckers pass out on the spot like this? Whenever you come by, like, you ain't even gotta touch them. You just happen to look in their direction as you walking by and they just pass out on the spot like that. I don't think this is happening in today's age with anybody. Like, no artist and all that shit is having this type of motion to where people pass out upon seeing them and shit like that. Like, is completely different. I'm sorry to say it. It's not happening no more.
More than talent or visibility. It required consistent presence and personal integrity. Chapter 8: Fan Theories and Street Legends.
Michael Jackson was a Crip, like he really was a Crip.
On TikTok and Instagram, comedic memes about MJ being a Crip circulate daily. DJs and rappers like DJ Quick joke about MJ having Crip energy. Clips show Jackson in blue outfits. Fan theories tease that he wore colors on purpose. But researched history tells a different story. There are 0 gang records, no criminal affiliations, and no insider verification. His public persona, interviews, and legal backgrounds offer no links to street sets. Yet the rumors persist, and not by mistake. They thrive because of what he achieved. He entered contested zones, walked with adversaries, and left respected without membership, violence, or lies. He appeared in spaces where few high-profile figures were welcome, navigating them with calm, respect, and consistency. In doing so, he became a figure of quiet significance not just in global pop culture, but in local memory, where genuine intent and visible impact often leave the deepest impression. Michael Jackson didn't check in with Crips or Bloods, because he first checked into humanity. He stood as a unified Crips or Bloods,
I knew it.
Because he first checked into...
Yeah, look at his foot. Yeah, see, I knew it. That's off topic, but I knew it. I knew that it would take some time to get used to that. I knew I would see it. I just knew it. I'm sorry. We're going to finish the video.
He stood as a unifier, bridging divides with art, presence, and vision. He didn't need weapons or membership. He used music, peace, and generosity. In March 1983, he brought together dozens of rival street members on a single set. 15 years later, when Eminem mocked him, Jackson responded by owning a stake in his publishing, all without lawsuits.
Damn.
He earned respect from gangs, artists, executives, and fans alike. Jackson never joined a set. He joined a purpose. When no one forced him to check in, he did it by checking himself in with integrity, respect, and purpose. That's influence redefined.
That's a W video by Trap Pulse. And yeah, I couldn't imagine having 15% of my shit just, or knowing that I dissed somebody and they just decided, you know what? I'm not going to diss you back. I'm not going to take you to court. I'm going to just take this percentage of your shit, of your top videos or your top albums and shit, and make you look stupid. That's fucking insane. But that's a W video about Trap Pulse. I'm gonna leave the video in the description. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord, and make sure to follow up on Twitter.